Floyd Bennett Field is now the next site for a massive migrant shelter.
So the news comes after a migrant shelter just opened on Randall's Island to house 3,000 asylum seekers. Joining us now with more on the migrant crisis is Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis. Nice to have you back on Good Day New York. So, okay, we may have this new federal facility where we can do it. Basically, the governor and the mayor has been begging for a year, right, to help. But that's going to fill up in like a week or two.
Yeah, what's really frustrating is instead of the mayor and governor demanding that the president secure the border like we see other governors doing around the country, they're just asking for more money, more resources. We had the mayor and Councilman Justin Brannan, who runs the Finance Committee, just ask for more resources so they can open up more shelters. And here you have the governor so happy and thanking the president yesterday for allowing Floyd Bennett Field to be used. This is outrageous. They have no intention of stopping it, and that's what's so frustrating because we know what the solutions are. The president came in on day one, undid the policies that President Trump had. He put in these executive orders. We've seen 7.5 million individuals cross into our country. And we should note 1.6 million of those, 1.6 million are people who totally evaded the border protection, which means...
Yeah, there's all this talk now that there are people not coming from these, which we consider, countries that are in major turmoil.
Over 120
but there are a lot of people who are using WhatsApp and social media things that are not from those countries that are getting into our
It's become a lucrative money maker for the drug cartels, and the president has allowed this to happen. We have a bill that we passed in May. Chuck Schumer will not take it up.
Why?
Because they want to continue to allow, for whatever the reasons are, they want to continue to allow this. There's no other answer of why our mayor and our governor will continue to open up shelter after shelter after shelter. The mayor continues to misinterpret New York City's right to shelter law, which was intended for homeless New Yorkers. And he's actually suing the state because he wants everybody around the state to take in people as well. Instead of telling the public we're not going to do this, he's only incentivizing individuals to come. Now, we are a compassionate country, or a compassionate city. My parents are immigrants. My mother came from Cuba as an asylum seeker. But you know what? The difference is no one paid for their housing. No one had to pay billions of dollars to house them. And also they followed the rules, right? They went through the process. They applied from a next safe country, and then they came in and they were sponsored. That's the difference here. We're seeing a total evasion of our laws.
So, Congresswoman, also, Staten Island, which you represent, part of Staten Island, furious over, some of the places that are opening to house migrants. Now you hear, I guess, a former Catholic school that the public school was going to use to teach kids in New York City is now being used as a migrant shelter?
You know what? I just found out this morning when I opened up the Staten Island Advance website. It's not the way the city should be doing business. They don't contact the elected officials. They don't contact the community. In fact, I asked the city if they were going to be using this as a site because there had been some rumors, and they told me and the council member no. And then today we find out that that's not the case. So what are they going to do? They're going to continue taking every empty building, every open space, every school assisted living facility that are meant for our seniors, and allow individuals to stay there at the taxpayers' expense when our taxpayers can't even afford to keep their own roofs over their head.
Well, here's the problem. Look, I understand that the issue stems from the top, from the federal government, which they're not fixing this issue right now, but these people are here. So unless we are providing other solutions to where they have to stay, this is what we got.
Look, Rikers Island, Governor's Island, there are other places outside from just in communities. And that's why Ellis Island was an island, right? Because you wanted to vet people to make sure that communicable diseases, which, by the way, they found at the border, there were individuals with syphilis and gonorrhea and tuberculosis and hepatitis, dengue fever and others. So that is why we want to reinstate Title 42, which the president refuses to do. We've sued, we've tried, and he just refuses to comply with the Supreme Court decision. But let me also point out, though, 2/3 of the individuals in 2021, their court cases, their asylum cases were denied. More than half were denied in 2022.
Give me
so what I'm trying to say is they're allowing all these people who are not legitimate asylum seekers, and what you're doing is you're hurting actual asylum seekers,
okay,
because they're getting pushed into court for 10 years.
That problem is at the border, and that problem stems from the top of our government, which is not, they're not addressing the problem, which is very clear. But let's talk about the Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn. You're opposed to this, but the government and the governor are saying this is a solution to the problem we've been asking for. Is that not a solution?
Well, The problem is that all they're doing is to continue to incentivize people to come to New York City. They're exacerbating the problem, okay? And quite frankly, the people in New York City can't afford to do this anymore. It's one thing to be compassionate. It's another thing to make New Yorkers chumps here. There's a difference there. We've been very compassionate as a nation, as a city, but this cannot continue unless you're going to turn over every single open space that we have and every single empty building in the city.
Do you think this will make New Yorkers vote a different way coming up in the
Look, I hope so. I hope people are actually paying attention, seeing that this is by design, that they are purposely doing this, that the president has the opportunity to undo his executive orders and won't. Schumer has the opportunity to pass our bill or his own bill if he doesn't like ours, and we can reconcile the difference, but he won't. The mayor chooses to continue this right to shelter, that he has not challenged it. He has not said that, look, this is intended for New Yorkers, not for citizens of other countries. But his interpretation, think about this. You had 7.5 million people come over our border. All 7.5 million people came to New York City. New York City, which has 8.5 million people population, would have to house them. If 9 billion people on the planet came to New York City, we would be forced to house them. By his interpretation, that's the
In defense of the mayor, he did say that was up to a judge and that was held up in court.
Well, it's up to he's pivoting to a judge, but quite frankly, he's the mayor, and he should be saying, we cannot do this, we will not do this. This decree is intended for homeless New Yorkers, and he chose not to do that. He opened up the floodgates by saying it was for every citizen on the planet, and that is where he went wrong. But instead of acknowledging that he's made a mistake and that he's misinterpreting the law, he's going to end this, he just continues to do it. And what is he doing? I mean, it really is frustrating to people of Staten Island across the city that the mayor's playing the drums in Israel when we have this crisis going on. It's like Nero playing the fiddle when Rome was on fire.
All right. Can we talk about a new Siena poll? It basically says New Yorkers are divided on whether President Biden should be impeached for possible alleged dealings with corruption that his son may have been involved with. Where do you stand on that? Would you support President Biden impeachment?
Well, I think it's certainly headed in that direction. I mean, if you just look at the facts, there were 20 shell companies that were created, $10 million that flowed to the family. Every day, the investigations committee, oversight committee, they are coming out with more and more information that is tracking this type of influence peddling by this family. So we have to see where it leads. I'm not one like the Democrats who want to just jump and politicize an impeachment. I want to actually follow the facts, but it certainly seems that the facts are headed that there was something very inappropriate that took place here where all this money from China, from Ukraine, from Romania was funneled through these entities that were set up while he was vice president, and then the money was given to the various members of the family. And so we just have to follow the facts and see where they continue to lead.
All right, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, representing Staten Island, South Brooklyn. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Keep on fighting for us. We appreciate it.
Well, they got to secure the border. That's the bottom line.
Good luck with that one.